Hello and welcome to All Villa No Filler. Please like and subscribe if you hate the Blues. Now, a few things I want to talk about. Firstly, a whole new background because I'm in a whole new flat. We have moved flats or are in the process of moving. There's a lot of things still to sort out. But this is a very early iteration of the new setup that will change as time goes on. It'll be a little bit more exciting than this. But look, there were a few things I wanted to talk about that are more exciting than that. And that is, one, Emi Martinez is the best goalkeeper in the world. Two, Unai Emery is going to Manchester United. Not. And three, Nottingham Forest coming up this weekend. I want to start off on the very good news that Emi Martinez has been recognised as the best goalkeeper in the world. He won the Yashin Award. Look, Emi Martinez deserves that award. Be under no illusions, despite what you might hear from, wider football media, anything like that. Be under no illusions that Emi Martinez is in any way overrated. All Aston Villa fans know what we see. And we see this every single week. And it's not just us, it's Argentina fans or Argentinians generally as a country see this as well. This player is a top-of-the-range Rolls-Royce goalkeeper who can do the bloody lot. Now, I tend to hear, when people talk about best goalkeepers in the world, I tend to hear it's Edison or Alisson, right? Phenomenal goalkeepers. No question. 10 out of 10 goalkeepers. Do I think Emi Martinez could do at Man City what Edison does? No, because I think Edison's delivery is better than Emi Martinez. But do I think that Edison could do at Villa what Emi Martinez does? I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that he is as good a shot stopper as him, for instance. And with the high line that Villa play, Emi Martinez needs to make big saves, and he does it every single game. When a ball gets crossed into the box, for years, I would watch Aston Villa and think, I am not convinced the goalkeeper is going to catch this. Every time it comes into the box, I think Emi Martinez could just do 10 press-ups, stand up, pull it out of the air with one arm, and just run the length of the pitch. And you just know he's going to catch it, don't you? Every time there's a one-on-one, I think he's going to save this, or he's got a chance of saving it. Alisson and Edison are great goalkeepers. Emi Martinez equally is a great goalkeeper. And I guarantee you that if Emi was at Manchester United now, Man United would have more points because he'd make more saves than Onana. And secondly, you would hear more pundits outside of the Aston Villa sort of circle that we're all in talking about him in elevated terms, because it just tends to happen, doesn't it? It's the same thing we heard with Grealish. As soon as he went to Manchester City, suddenly you were reading that he was an improved player, which was just not true. I don't think he has improved as a player. I think he's transitioned into a different player, and he's playing with a different profile of teammate. And he's still a fantastic player, but it does Villa down, as usual, to talk about him in a way that's like, he's got better since being at City for 1 week. I mean, seriously. And the same goes for Emi Martinez. I think he's think about it like this. Lionel Messi, I think, is the greatest football player of all time, right? I think he's the best player I've ever seen in my life. And Messi, what he did not have was international trophies. And I have watched Argentina for years. And what I always felt with Argentina was that as great as their attacking players were, there was always a defensive deficiency in that I looked at their goalkeeper and thought, I think they're probably beatable. Emi Martinez turns up, and what happens? Argentina, very rapidly, win Copa America. And not only do they win Copa America, they win it in the Maracana in Brazil, beating Brazil in the final 1-0. They do it with the penalty shootouts where Emi Martinez proves himself a larger-than-life character who makes big saves on the big occasion, the definition of a big game player. And finally, Messi got the international trophy that his career deserved. Emi Martinez is a big part of why that happened. Then he wins the Finalissima against Italy, 3-0. South America, Copa America winner versus the Euros winner. So, Argentina win that. And then a year after that, the big one, the World Cup. And again, Emi Martinez makes saves in penalty shootouts and saves throughout the tournament that prove himself to be a larger-than-life player and a crucial player for Argentina. And I'm not convinced Argentina win the World Cup without him. And in the final, they definitely don't win it without him, because I'm not convinced there's another goalkeeper in the world who would have saved that chance for Kolo Muani in the last minute of a World Cup final. It was, you hear talk about Gordon Banks and the save from Pele. That save from Emi Martinez is one of the greatest saves of all time. It is. The magnitude of what he did in that save, for that save alone, and for what it meant, meaning Argentina won the World Cup, that save alone, and all the other things he did in the World Cup, mean he deserved to win the Aston Trophy. And outside of that, playing for his club, he's made incredible saves, been an colossal presence at Aston Villa. And not only is he, a brilliant shot stopper, he's actually far better on the ball than I think a lot of people give him credit for. And I don't quite know why he's underrated on the ball. He never really seems to make mistakes. And his delivery generally is very good. I don't think it's Edison good, because I think Edison's the best ball-playing goalkeeper in the world by quite a margin. He's an incredible, good player in midfield. That's how good he is. But that's not doing Emi down. That's Emi's just different, I think. And a well-deserved trophy. And, for him, a well-deserved award for him. And what I would say about Emi as well is that, whatever happens with him in future, whether, this summer somebody like Bayern Munich decides we're going to spend 90 million euros on Emi Martinez. Whatever happens, Emi Martinez played for Argentina because of the opportunity presented to him by Aston Villa to be a first-team goalkeeper, an opportunity that quite late in his career, he still hadn't been given by Arsenal and various other teams he'd been on loan at. And Aston Villa gave him that, but he's given so much to Aston Villa as well, and been a big part of our last few years. And, what he achieved in winning the World Cup, when he won that World Cup, those iconic moments, winning the Copa America, he did that as an Aston Villa player. So he helped raise Villa's profile. I guarantee you more people know about Aston Villa in Argentina than ever did before. So I'm delighted for Emi Martinez. I love having him as a player. I think he's fantastic. I think he's an absolutely unbelievable goalkeeper. And just delighted for him. And it's well-deserved. And if anybody doubts it, I don't know what you've been watching, because clearly you don't know how. You just ain't watching Emi Martinez enough, because he's incredible. Now, something else I thought I'd mention as well was how it seems to be a bit of a kind of rhetoric going around about, people trying to get some gossip going really online, I guess, about how Manchester United should take Unai Emery, right? And I joked in a WhatsApp group a couple of weeks ago. I said, I give it, it was after Man United had another disappointing result. Chelsea had lost again. And I joked, I said, I give it maybe less than a month before we're hearing in a tabloid somewhere that Manchester United's board or Chelsea's board is impressed with the work that Unai Emery has done at Aston Villa. Now, in the past, as Villa fans, we've kind of had to become, resilient with the concept that, our best players tend to go to up north, generally, Man City or Manchester United. And, I don't think we've ever had a manager where you would look at them and say, I think a big club's going to come in and take them. Unai Emery definitely is that manager. Like, there's no way top clubs wouldn't take him, given what he's done at Villa and his track record, particularly in the Europa League, But what I would say is this. I think, as I say, I think it's just a media organisation trying to get, a narrative going or discussion points going. And, do I think Unai Emery would leave for somewhere like Manchester United right now? To be perfectly honest with you, he's in a very rare situation in football where he has a club where the fan base is so totally behind him that you've got idiots like me calling him Professor Unai all the time and pledging to get him tattooed on my face. A fan base that has such massive respect for him, and a board that has backed him so totally that he, essentially has a club in his image. They brought in Monchi as a sporting director. Vidigani's been brought in. Herslow's gone. Johan Lang's gone. Rob McKenzie's gone. That's not to do down anything Johan Lang or Rob McKenzie have done. I think they've probably done a very, very good job behind the scenes, and I wish them well at Tottenham. Not too well because obviously Spurs is a competitor, but there is he has the coaches he wants. We've brought players in that he wants. Unai Emery's in a very good position within football management that not many football managers ever get. And he's onto a good thing at Villa, and he's backed by a board that very much is ambitious, doing everything it can to push Villa forward. Now, am I under any illusion that managers want to, manage at the very, very top? No, I'm not. But at the same time, Unai Emery's also been burnt by going to a so-called top club in Arsenal, which was at the time post-Wenger, reeling from the post-Wenger, years, sorry. In the background at Arsenal, there was a lot of toxicity, a lot of problems that have been fixed now, which is, Arteta's working so well there, but it's helped by the fact that he's not dealing with the things that Unai Emery was dealing behind the scenes. On top of that, there was a toxic dressing room by all accounts. And on top of that, a fan base that, maybe didn't see Unai Emery in the same way that Villa fans do. Arsenal fans are used to winning titles in a way that we're not in recent history. And maybe just didn't quite value what they had in him, though that's not to say that, in his second season at Arsenal, things were going well. They weren't, but had he been given time and maybe a backroom, maybe the board level had changed, maybe he could have worked it out in the way Arteta has. I don't know. But I can't help but that experience at Arsenal would inform your opinion of going to somewhere like Manchester United, because you see the same problems. You'd probably see it at Chelsea as well. You're seeing a club that obviously has a lot of money, a lot of prestige, but for the last 10 years, it's essentially, as Gary Neville said, been a managerial graveyard. It reminds me of what Sunderland used to be. Sunderland seems to be a bit more on the way up now in the Championship, but Sunderland were, to me, a bit of a graveyard. If you went there as a player or a manager, you just withered on the vine, right? And you go to Manchester United, and it's like a high-end version of that. Great managers with Champions League pedigrees go there, and just disappearances void of nothingness. Within months of managers starting there, this dressing room, Man United's dressing room, seemed to always be leaking that there's some problem with the way, with methods, or there's something that bothers them. It just comes across like a club that has absolutely no leadership. It's totally rudderless. And it's got Jim Ratcliffe coming in what kind of capacity? I mean, what the hell's going on? A club owned by the Glazers. It's like the club. It's like if Aston Villa was still owned by Tony Gia, and Suarez and Edens came in and just managed the football side. What the hell's that all about? And clearly, I think they just have an ownership in the Glazers who clearly don't know what the hell they're doing. Have no interest in football, and probably have never heard of Aston Villa Football Club, genuinely, and have no interest in finding out about them. I don't know if that's true, of course, but just looking at the way they operate at Manchester United, the fish rots from the head down. And I can't help but think that, I'm not saying it can't turn around at Manchester United. They have the financial firepower to do anything. And Ten Hag's a talented manager who I think can turn it around, even if at the moment it looks incredibly toxic there. But for Emery, it would essentially be stepping out of a very, very positive situation at Villa and going into quite a toxic environment, I think, that could run the risk of repeating what happened at Arsenal. I don't doubt that he'd have the talent to manage any club, Emery, at all. But so it's kind of a different scenario now with Villa. I don't feel uncomfortable at the thought of players being linked anywhere or a manager being linked anywhere, because I still think there's this tendency, again, in a kind of the wider football media sometimes, to sort of see Villa as Villa should know their place. You've got your Villas, your Evertons, Ickle Villa. If one of the top four clubs cast fluster their eyelashes at someone involved with Villa and go, fancy leaving Villa and joining us? Would you like to do that? You should leave Villa now, and just give them a little pat on the head, and up they go to wherever it is, City usually. But I can't help but feel we're in a slightly different scenario now. And I'm not saying that at some point we're not going to see some of our current best players leave for big fees. Maybe there'll be a necessity for that at some point. But I do think we've hopefully future-proofed ourselves against that with, Monchi's a strong scouting department, and a really great academy as well. So, no, I'm not worried anymore when I hear Villa players or managers linked with these sort of, these clubs who seem to be more regularly in the Champions League, because I look at Villa and think, why can't we push for the Champions League? Why can't we get it? And I always compare it to Tottenham and Atletico Madrid. I keep saying this point over and over again. Do you think when Tottenham were pushing for the Champions League with Harry Redknapp, do you think that generally the sort of media at the time was saying like, oh, look at that. Man United want Gareth Bale. They should just let him go. Why would they say that? I think they'd probably be saying it would be insane for Tottenham to let Gareth Bale go when they could potentially push into the Champions League places. And right now, it's the same thing. Aston Villa would be insane to let any of our best players or a manager go when, by the end of this season, on the current form we're on, it could be a Champions League team. 5 Champions League places this season. So, yeah, just thought I'd say that. I'm in a very different mindset now. I think I want to recalibrate in the sense where I think Villa should see ourselves as a team who should be aiming for everything. Trophies, leagues, the lot. And that might sound like a pipe dream. There'd be a lot of rival fans who might see that and laugh at it. And if, a lot goes down at some point and they'll go LOL and whatever, I don't care, because I think Villa fans and I think Villa as a club should aim for the very highest, because I think we're capable of it. And I think we've got the manager now and the ownership, hopefully, that can make that closer to reality than it ever has been in my lifetime, really. So, yeah. But let me know your thoughts on that. I've rambled on quite a bit there. My girlfriend says I ramble a lot. Very sorry about that. As I said before, Bob Dylan writes a song about me and calls it A Rambling Man. But yeah, and the other thing was Nottingham Forest. Not in great form, Forest. A little bit in danger of getting dragged down into the relegation places, and drawing 2-2 at home to Luton, having been 2-0 up against a team who don't really score. That's a very poor result for them. Now, I've watched Forest twice this season, and I went to the Arsenal game at the start of the season. I was invited by an Arsenal friend and one of my best mates in the world. And I live quite close to the Arsenal ground. So, I got the invite, went down, and I thought Forest did well when they sat back. They defended pretty well. To be fair, it was the first game of the season, so neither team really had their rhythm yet. And Arsenal were quite laborious, though they did score twice in the first half to make it 2-0. But they didn't really kill the game off. And Forest kind of just kept in the game, basically, as well as they could. And then in the second half, they got a goal where it was a corner to Arsenal. And I think I want to say it was Alanga got the ball in his area, or a Wonyi got it, the striker. I think maybe it was a Wonyi got it, and he sprinted from the box all the way into his own half, got it to Alanga. Alanga sprints forward with it, plays it back to a Wonyi, and a Wonyi goal, 2-1. Very nearly, put on Arsenal under a lot of pressure after that as well. So on the counter, they've got potential to hurt you. They've got a very, very pacey player in Elanga, Callum Hudson-Odoi as well, skillful players. And then, of course, Morgan Gibbs-White is a fantastic ball-playing midfielder who I think could play to a very, very high level, and a big part of why Forest stayed up last season. He's a great talent. But on top of that, then I did watch them play Chelsea as well. A game they won 1-0 away at Stamford Bridge. And again, it was the same thing. They kind of sat back and absorbed the pressure. And they were, Steve Cooper's a canny coach. They were quite good at that. And then eventually it was the same thing. Awoniyi involved for the goal that came. I can't remember who scored it now, to be honest. Basically, again, it was a counter-attacking move that got the goal. So that's twice I've seen them where they've sat deep, made it hard for good footballing sides like Arsenal and Chelsea. I wouldn't really call them a good footballing side at the moment, but a Chelsea team that has some potency, some attacking talent that can cause you problems. And Forest did well to sit back against both of them away from home and to then hit them on the break. Now, obviously, because it's at the City ground, there's more impetus on Forest to take the game to Villa. But I wouldn't be surprised if they try and just absorb a bit of pressure from Villa rather than go straight at us. But the positive thing about that for Villa is that we've been very good this season against teams when they've just tried to sit back and absorb pressure. Like Everton this season, beat them 4-0. Luton the other day, 3-1. Palace, we managed to find a way through, 3-1. Villa just find a way of just ripping you apart. And it's those quick passes from back to front in the middle. And then, if we're not playing those quick passes through the middle, we've got a fullback dashing miles up the line, get it out to them, and they can get it, create havoc out wide. Or this is where Pau Torres, not only is he a fantastic reader of the game and just brilliant on the ball, he plays like a Barca-style CDM. That's what he looks like. But what I noticed with him as well is that when he gets the ball, and I said this before, he's very good at bypassing the midfield. So instead of just playing the short passes all the time or quick triangles, sometimes he'll just hit a direct ball into the feet of a Moussa Diaby who's come a bit deep. Number 10, it's that particular whipped ball on his left foot that just curves around into the feet of Diaby, who will then just have a quick layoff to, let's say, Zaniolo or Jacob Ramsey or whoever's there. And then, Ollie's made a run out left. There's another midfielder coming in. Diaby's then turned and gone. Leon Bailey might be out right. So, yes, I think if Forest try and sit back against us, they're asking for quite a bit of trouble. But then if they're trying to attack us, they have the players to hurt us, for sure. I think Awoniyi's I rate him. I think he's a good striker. They certainly have the players to hurt us, but Villa, again, defensively have the ability to just soak up that pressure, I believe, and hit them on the counter with quick players out wide like a Leon Bailey, Ollie Watkins, Moussa Diaby, maybe even Alex Moreno dashing up left. There's so much potency. It's very difficult to know what to do against Aston Villa at the moment. And I think the only guaranteed surefire way of taking on Villa at the moment is to have really fantastic players who can take the game and control it a bit more, like a City, obviously, or an Arsenal, or a Liverpool, as they did to us. I thought Liverpool were very impressive against Villa. But if you're a team who's not as good on the ball as Villa, deciding whether to stick or twist is very, very difficult at the moment. So I'm, again, going into this game feeling very confident and feeling that this really good run we're on can continue and that we can get quite a few goals against Forest. Again, that's not to underrate the damage they can do to us. I do think they have some really effective players. And I certainly think that if they try and play the counter, they can do something. West Ham, when they played us and they had that one talismanic striker up front in Mikel Antonio. Antonio's in really, really poor form. and was really poor against Villa. I do wonder if they had somebody like a Wanye who's similar profile player, physical, back to goal, can hold the ball up. If they had somebody like him, who also is very, very quick as well, intelligent at how he lays the ball off, I wonder if he would have been much more effective against Villa than Antonio was. So I'm just sort of trying to point out where might be, an issue or two in the coming weekend. But I'm going to go with the Villa win. I'm going to be confident and say that again. I just think our attack just has too much at the moment, and I can't wait to see what they do against any opposition that we play. Up the mighty Villa, basically. Let me know what you think about Nottingham Forest. Let me know if you think there's any, if you've watched Forest this season, what you think might come to pass. Of course, Morgan Gibbs-White, fantastic player. I think he's the danger man. For me, Alanga's also very, he's definitely got something. Definitely got something. So don't underestimate Forest and don't underestimate the coaching capability of Steve Cooper as well. But for sure, don't underestimate the genius of the not future Manchester United manager, hopefully, Unai Emery, Professor Unai. Anyway, please like and subscribe. Please comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching. If you could bear to get through all this rambling. Thank you. Up the mighty Villa.